This is A Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
When I'm training for professional competitions, men and women always ask me for advice. To women, I say push yourself harder than you ever have before and go beyond your comfort zone. Focus on your goals. Men, if I am willing to push myself to become Mr. Olympia in 2022, then I only have one thing to say to you. Bring your A game.
Here we go again.
What's good, people? It's your man Ronin back with another one. And first and foremost, I want to get the housekeeping out the way. Number one, I got bit by the cookie monster. So I've been in quarantine since Thursday. And I'm supposed to get another evaluation by Tuesday. So with that being said, it's annoying as hell. I miss spending my time in the gym, getting right, getting all this goofiness out of me. But again, I'm doing what I need to do to get these impurities out. I only have mild symptoms, a lot of congestion, but I know with everything I'm doing, this amount of phlegm is getting out, and I believe I'll be up sooner than later. So that's why I've been away for a little bit. Quarantine can be quite relaxing because as an ambivert, I like peace and quiet a lot of times, and I'm not afforded that a lot. So I'm taking advantage of it as best I can, but being productive. Second thing is, I want to say what's up to the A-Game family. I know I've been away for a hot minute, but I still have a duty. And while I'm breathing, while I'm able to maneuver around, and you can hear my voice because I just need to go get a lozenge and go get the rest of my vitamin C, I'm still fighting to do what I need to do to be productive, leading by example. A lot of times, if we don't take care of our health, we can be put in a very dire situation. And granted, I'm in a better position than most, but I'm going to do my best to stay on point with things and not allow such a lapse to come as it has been. So that's on me. I take responsibility of that. I definitely want to say what's up to all the subscribers, both new and old. Hit the notification bell for future videos. And to all my veterans across the board, I pray you guys are in good health. You guys are handling your business, kicking ass and taking names, and that you guys are okay. Much love to you guys for doing what you do. And I know it's very some questionable times, but the necessity of brotherhood, especially in the civilian theater, is very important. So if you got fellow veterans, look after them. It doesn't stop as soon as your EES pops up. The fight still continues, especially on the spiritual warfare front. Also, with that being said, let's get into the topic. 2022 Table Talk, AntiHero edition. Now, here's why this has been brought forward, and this will be my Article 15 of the week. And do understand, in the description, you will see there will be a level of strong language and very blunt force honesty put here. So viewer discretion is advised. And excuse the ashy voice. I wish I could have a lotion pill, but can't eat that shit. So getting back to the topic. I'm sure anywhere you go, you've heard this conversation, both on media, social media, in general. All these different table talks. You'll hear some guys who will say, what do you bring to the table? And many times over, rightfully so, you need to ask that. But a lot of guys take this way out of context. So this is what we're going to address today. Now, I'm not worried about the chicken heads and the analog cable basic bitches that will sit there and say, I am the table. That's another conversation that will probably follow this video, but stand by for that. Talking to the fellas now. It's man-to-man talk. Now, when it comes to your table, let's get the particulars out the way. A table has many uses. As I've always said, every man, especially, is an artist in their own right. You have your respective skill. Like this table I'm at with my laptop, I can do art, graphic design, poetry. You got guys who crunch numbers. Other tables, you got guys who do welding, who do shop work, make repairs. Some are doctors who use their craft and they walk that fine line between life and death, sickness and health. Across the board, every respective man has their table, but it's not limited to just their profession. If you want to get down to brass tacks, the very person I'm looking at, one's looking back at me. Here's your table. But it's deeper than just a platform. It's how you use it and many other things that will show people how to treat it or abuse it. See, the thing is, like any book, as you hear, a table of contents. And on that table, being men of principles and purpose or otherwise, you give people the blueprint on how to treat you, how to act around you. You establish the SOP, whether verbally or non-verbally. That's one of the many things we need to address honestly with ourselves before we go any further. Now, the opposite of men with principles and purpose are these goofies. A regimented lame, woefully predictable individuals who are the living embodiment of self-fulfilling insanity and futility. Now, before I get into the conversation, you need to understand how to recognize these goofies briefly. These individuals who figure they should be grandfathered into greatness because they've achieved some external achievements or in a position where they believe they're bigger than they really are without working on the internal. See, these are the individuals who believe that I'm a Jonathan. I'm going to sit here and pay and do this and greater. I'm not stupid. It may be convenient for some guys. But again, once you approach certain women or certain situations in a transactional sense, that's exactly what you're going to get. You get what you pay for. Now, what ruins your credibility is when you bitch and moan about the very thing you didn't vet for number one. And number two, selling yourself short in order to achieve something that's so underwhelming that's beneath you that you have the audacity to complain about the very thing you didn't want to vet in the first place. This is why I brought up the whole thing about ashy dick analytics. These are the individuals who like to burp out statistics, but blindly ignoring the statistics that were meant to protect him from being a statistic, mainly because of being casualties of their egos and other internal deficits that they suffer. Regimented lames is basically the casual definition of a spiritually impaired mule of provision. It isn't just monetarily. There are guys around here who sell themselves short, trying to kiss ass and lick the nuts of individuals, especially online, which you have an example as far as like fart and flaccid. What you're seeing today, you got guys who will quote them, but then when you look at their table of work, you question these individuals because of what they love and do and what their support blindly in spite of the fact of what they do and how they carry themselves. So that's the whole thing about regimented lames there. So let's talk about the table in general. Now, number 5, and there's going to be 5 things going from 5 to 1. So we're going to break this down, and I will be using charts. Pay attention. Number 5, seating placement in order, gender placements and consequences. Now, briefly, before I get into the chicks later, when you got chicks who say, yes, I am the table, when they say something, believe them. Don't just automatically be reactionary mode. So you like, use your logical, put your thinking cap on. Okay, you're on the table, let's see what. And in a sense, she is right. When you're a homosexual, when you're these individuals who put her in a position to set the table for you, do not be surprised when she puts you in that little baby chair with a little bib and a bonnet and your little binky. And she suns you every chance she gets. Because you placed her as the table. You're so reliant on her that she's out of her position. So of course she's going to treat you accordingly, like a little baby. It'll be in her nature to be selfish, but because you didn't want to take the leadership, bill it, not ask for it. You didn't take it and assume it. Now you're starting to see why people treat you funny style. Because instead of eating a big piece of chicken or that steak or having steak at BJJ, now you're sitting there eating baby carrots, applesauce. And of course, she's going to find amusing when you're sitting there flinging your food when you don't feel like eating your vegetables. Again, that is the consequence of allowing her to set the table. Now, you being that man, a respected man, you have to take care of number 1 and working on the internal. And all through down this, it will speak on the internal and external to an extent. So I want it to all make sense, but I need you guys to understand that when it comes to gender placements, that's what happens when you allow her to sun you. Now, when you set your table, we're talking about things as far as SOS, system, order, and structure. You can think of it about as far as your utensils, the plates, everything. See, when you were setting the table, you were out there cooking. You were doing your thing. And see, how you maintain your table or treat your table and where you place your table ultimately is a reflection of how you keep your house. Now, if you ever go into someone's house, do a little experiment for yourself. Some people, when you ask to come over some people's places, sometimes like, nah, you can't come over. Now you have to think about it. On one hand, some people still have to vet you out, and that is a very intelligent thing to do. However, sometimes when people allow you in your house and you see all this shit all over the place, and we've seen this in real time, some of us can attest to that. I went into a buddy's house and he had laundry all over his table, old pizza boxes with old pizza in it. The dog was running around, sleeping on the couch, doing whatever it will. The kitchen was fucked up. The house had a very interesting essence in the air, which was ultimately a reflection of not just the use of the table, but everything around it. See, it doesn't make sense to have a clean ass table in a fucked up house. If one room is usually bad, it tends to creep into the other places, which will ultimately affect many things. It reflects your spirituality, how you view and how you view and believe in yourself, what you think. Your health, obviously, which goes hand in hand with your appearance and your dwelling, because all that is insanity, unsanitary. How does that look when you got people at your table and you got people allowed to throw their drawers on the table, white boogers on the cabinets? They got their Doritos smelling socks sitting on the back of a chair. in layman's terms, we got to start looking at how we treat ourselves, how we set ourselves in position to invite certain people at our table. Because you have to understand, everybody can't eat at your fucking table. Some people need to eat in the next room. And some of these chicken heads that a lot of guys complain about, and I used to complain about years ago, they weren't meant to sit at your table because they were nothing but takeout. You go in there, fast food, junk food. They weren't worth anything at the time. Nothing long term. Which leads to the second part. Number 4. The nutritional value surrounding said table. Words or spells. And what kind of alchemy is being cast at and beyond said table. What is and isn't worth consuming. So I'm going to start with what is or what isn't worth consuming. It goes back to these people that we bring into our conversations or even around our table. Some people do not have sound spiritual, social, intellectual, mental, nutritional value. Some people like to bring bullshit to your table. Be it gossip, stupid shit, insignificant information. Like, you know what, I could have done without that. Now, granted, we can sit here and shoot the shit, all around the scuttlebutt, play around, all those things, but everything has its place. See, when you bring people who bring junk food value into your life, it'll reflect not just internally, but externally. Because if it's going to affect your kitchen or whatever table you put it in there, let's say in your kitchen table, ultimately affects your health. Because you're sitting around there and nothing's getting done. And sometimes a lot of opportunities, even your spirit will start molding because it's not getting fresh air. It's not even getting fresh nutrients in there. Sometimes you're in a relationship and you're upset by the women that you bring into your house. But again, it goes in your vetting process. Everybody isn't allowed in your house, much less at your fucking table. That is your intimate space. This is where you should be eating, should be fellowshipping. Now, you can pray anywhere, but again, it's like when people are gathered around, we talk about Thanksgiving. What do you have to be thankful for in the company of people who are thankless or selfish? Let's go back to when it comes to worth consuming before I close it. Who are you allowed? What are you serving to the people at your table? There's a lot of guys who sit there and talk a lot of shit. See, when I talked about the wretched, men and lame, a lot of them rely on keyboard courage. A lot of them gorge themselves on confirmation bias. And again, I said with Ashley Dick Analytics, it comes to guys using statistical data, which often is proven, but they use it poorly. They use it to sit there and basically crucify individuals and basically shoot opportunities down because they're not elevating themselves in a proper fashion. So why are you bitching and moaning about the harlot down the street when you're looking to sniff her ass anyway? And then blame her for whatever consequences that you participate in. But again, it goes back to who you invite to your table. When you're out there at the ATM and old girl's rubbing your back, that's you giving her an invite to your table. Same thing with people who are camouflaging themselves, acting like they're one thing and there's something completely different. Now, granted, sometimes we allow certain people to eat at the table and we see how they do. But once you see it, which goes into table etiquette next, what are you going to do about that? Do you have the systems, order, and structure to maintain that place? What you saw of Fake and Flimsy, when it came to the table, there's always a food fight there. And the sad part is you got individuals who celebrate food fights like that. But everybody's excited until that tomato or that lunchbox get fucking slanted to your face. But again, that's something else. Now, we talking about words or spells and what type of alchemy is being cast and set at and beyond the table. So when you say the table, a lot of people are given their religious denomination or what have you. Some of them have fellowship and they hold hands and they pray over food and they're thankful. Because a lot of times it takes a team effort to catch what we eat, keep what we kill. Now, a lot of us have lost that skill, but again, when we're talking about at the table, it's not limited to where we eat, dinner table. Talk about a workbench. Now, you got some guys doing his craft, doing this thing. Now, he can take leadership or tutelage from some people who can flesh their creativity out. If you're at an art table, usually you're sitting there drawn through your head, or even have a conversation. Then, are these things inspiring to your vision or what you're looking to build? That goes into the placement of your table. Sometimes you use that table to get the fuck away from people who are speaking ill about your vision, your dreams, your goals, everything that you prepared. It isn't just food. You look at all the great companies or great entities that were created at a table. You think of Camelot, like Knights of the Round Table. You think back in Tun Tavern. And this was a brew house built by Samuel Carpenter back in 1685. This is back in Philadelphia's historic waterfront. What used to be there, back on Water Street and Tun Alley. Now today is known as Penn's Landing. That place alone, whatever conversations and whatever thing was established there, eventually evolved to become the Marine Corps. One of the most reputable and infamous fighting forces known to man today. See, great people look for ideas to build on, feed off each other. What kind of conversations are we having at these tables? You think of all the great buildings that have been erected, cities, laws, things that we take advantage of today. Most of them started at a table. Might have been a coffee table. Hell, a TV dinner table. Sometimes you have great ideas exchanged during a gaming session on a video game console sometimes. Because, again, with technology, we got social media, we reach out to each other. So what are we speaking, not just into the community, but what are we speaking into ourselves? A lot of times we talk ourselves out of great opportunities because of how we view ourselves, how we treat ourselves. And again, it goes back to the nutritional value of what we say, think, and do. So you have to assess these things. Now, when it comes down to here, this lost value system thing, if this is what you're eating every day, there's no question that you will become food and you will remain food. Because how you view yourself and what you prioritize, you are nothing more than part of the menu. And there's many a man who's been consumed from the inside out, living that lifestyle. They start abusing things as far as the 4 Ps. They don't use your masculine light properly. You don't apply provision to themselves. They're not adept in problem solving skills, protecting themselves, and procreation. See, when you bring that to table, many great things will manifest, not just within these hands, but beyond them, beyond that table. See, a lot of guys speak about, I need to bring home the bacon. But the thing is, you need to take care of that table, make sure everything's clean. You know you're going to do work. But it's how you treat said tables and how they represent you. So let's go back to number 3, table etiquette. the level of conduct set around said table. Who and what is allowed to remain at your table. Now, this is a big problem for some guys because what you hear in this space and abroad, you'll have a lot of guys pissing and moaning about this person did that to me, this person who did this and whatever. And many aspects, a lot of them stories are screwed up. But you have to take accountability of not just of the people you allow to track dirt in your house, but to shit on your kitchen floor before putting their funky ass feet on your table. Table etiquette is the conduct you allow around yourself. Now, some of us allow ourselves to be hors d'oeuvres for all these cannibalistic motherfuckers out here. Some people want to eat your time. Some people want to eat at your dreams, your happiness, your peace of mind. That's why I said when you allow yourself to be treated any kind of way, you are nothing more than food. Be it finger food or lukewarm hot pocket that they can get to whenever. Drop on the floor and still eat it. Table etiquette also includes how the conduct that you allow to transpire around you when you're in public settings and private. How's it look when you're trying to conduct yourself? You treat yourself the way you need to, addressing your spirituality and your health, treating your family well, working on your appearance in your dwelling. And you got shitbirds that want to sit there and basically misrepresent that. That's poor table etiquette. Because see, people look at you from a distance and they do learn how to treat you like, wait a minute, that person has potential, but the people around let's eat at his table. I don't want no parts of that. A lot of times we miss good opportunities because of who we allow to throw fucking chicken bones and bullshit and digging their ass at our table, and someone who could definitely spruce up not just the table, but things in your life. And they see what you allow people to consume around you or even consume you. Table etiquette, we talk about interpersonal stuff, be it anger, our unwillingness to attend to our health or address our issues. Sometimes we think it's cool to keep our demons at our table. It's not accomplished to let your demons cook you in front of everybody. Sometimes, when it's called for, you need to flip the goddamn table on these demons, be it spiritually and personally. Even Jesus had to do it one time because, again, didn't like the table etiquette things around the table, even the temple they were in. And that is ultimately what it's about. You allow people to violate your intimate space because you had no security at the entrance of your home. Be in this table too. What kind of bullshit do you allow to be consumed internally? Past failures? Things people have said about you to you? Some will say any and everything about you because they know they're not allowed to sit at your table. They see who you allow into your house. They see the standard that you set for yourself, and some know that they're not built for that, or they're not willing to elevate themselves to meet that standard. Let them eat outside. You're not supposed to sit there and reward squatters, ungrateful ones at that. Let them run down to the food pantry and figure out what they're going to fucking eat. But see, at your table, everything is prepared in love, time, energy, effort. Smells good in the house. Or sometimes you go to your table to find that peace of mind. Find yourself, lose yourself in your art to fucking unleash yourself, the greater, most hidden part of yourself. That's what we talk about when it comes to table etiquette. When you unleash that table etiquette, it is a reflection in the sense of this: time, toll, trouble, and threat. You got to ask yourself, are you worth that? And see, before I move on. See, with this chart here, I'm going to use myself for example. Anybody in this chart I can pretty much eat at a table with. I've had many conversations with people across the board who have fit these demographics. However, when it comes down to it and knowing myself, understanding myself, and starting to master myself, this is when you start learning. Sometimes you got to know when to get up off from the table. I've had my fill. I'm good. Let me get back to work. Let me move on to something more constructive, something that will feed my soul a lot better. Because there's more good and bad depending on where you're at with said individuals, which lets you know you got to be very discerning of who you eat with. Sometimes you could share a meal or an idea with somebody across that board. Being a man of principle and purpose, you start using your discernment, your foresight to understand where that person's coming from, where they're about. But you have to assess, what am I willing to consume? Am I going to let this person consume my time with bullshit and excuses? Or if they need a genuine hand, give them something, an idea that they can chew on for themselves. Here, this is on the house. I'll see what you do with it. And let them deal with the consequences of taking your advice or letting it sit. So number 2, we talk about the maintenance of said table. Would you eat or work at your table? Now, that's a question a lot of us have to ask ourselves. Now, some dumbass will probably, well, Ronin, who's at your table? Number 1, understand I let whoever I want to eat at my table at my fucking convenience. 2, it's not your motherfucking business. But 3, just entertain you. What I eat and who I eat is at my discretion. And I'll let you go wherever you want to with that. See, again, when it comes to my table, I don't have to broadcast who's at my table, because sometimes certain intimate conversations need to have a quiet dinner. Be it at the table consumption, creativity, or carnality. There's certain things I don't need to worry about other than the security and the maintenance of not just my table, but my home, my house, myself. And this is what I'm imparting into you guys. What does said table reflect of the area, house that it rests in? If you're a worker, you do your thing at the table, handle your business, keep your area neat as you can. It's knowing what's around your table, so that way you be more efficient. If you're a chef or you're consuming something solid, make sure your table's clean. Make sure the area is clean around your table. Make sure you wash your hands of old bullshit that you're carrying with you. Hygiene is a must at that table, because bringing on old shit into new shit, it will contaminate it. Be it food, be it relationships, be it opportunities that were meant for you. But again, you have the opportunity to make good on it or destroy it. The maintenance at said table, how often do I clean my table? Are there boogers under my table? Is there gum on my table? While you're talking to these chicks and evaluating them, how does that look? Is that when you bring the table, she's looking at your table, and there's a log of shit sitting on the table. Now, how's that look for you? If you're going to ask that, you got to make sure your table's clean and prepared to invite people to it. Now, everybody you invite ain't there for long term. However, that goes into the vetting process. Now, if someone has earned a spot at their table, they know what they do to maintain that spot, to redeem that spot, to protect that spot, to honor that spot, because it's a reflection of you. Certain people will shine or wilt within your presence. That's why we're talking about the table here. So usually when you set your table, you worry about the feng shui, the setting around there. What's the mood around the table? Is it a place of camaraderie, fellowship, leadership? Or is it surrounded by bullshit, melancholy? Have you allowed yourself to become obese with obstinance? Is there conflict at the table? And if that table has been broken, are you willing to invest and fix it? Or upgrade your table? Because sometimes that mission becomes bigger than you. And when you have your circle grow to a certain extent, you need to make room for them to eat. It's not fair for you to have them standing in the corner and eating their plate when they had a long day and they're working with you. See, a lot of times when you're around your peers and your buddies or family, which we talk about in the chart, it's more than just the food you eat that makes it taste better. It's the presence there, people, the flavor that people bring into your life. There's some people who come from different walks of life that I've met in my time, and respectfully, you have too, that you left their presence a little bit different. Most times for the better. Some were bitter lessons that you need to learn, like, you know what, I need to be prepared for the next time I run into a certain archetype like that. Certain people bring that spiritual seasoning into what you're making at the table. Damn, I needed that flavor. And I can attest, there are some brothers out here and quite a few women who've added a lot of flavor into my life, intellectually, spiritually, socially, internally, across the board, even externally. You know, my amazing thing is when you guys are cooking like that and you go down the street, if you notice certain smells wafting in the air, like, damn, I know that smell. It gets that hunger driving within you. I might want to go over there and get some of that. That's how we should be as men. When you smell that wood of, you hear that metal being worked on, welding or wood shop, when you're sitting there and people doing their thing, or they're doing glass making, or you're seeing people see you kicking ass on that table. It draws attention. Sometimes you remember in school when you drew a crowd because you're sitting there drawing cartoons or something like that, or you're making music. You cook with your creativity. See, that's that smell, that wafting in the air, that inspiration. It's infectious. So it's more than what we ask about people bringing to the table. Your intent should be there to, like, if you're going to bring something to this table, it's got to be something constructive. Love or lesson. And you need that discernment to take what's given to you and what you allow to happen to you. That's the importance of the table. Number one, the purpose of said table. Is your table being used to its fullest and intended purposes? If not, why? Every respective man should ask this question of themselves, to themselves, for themselves. What am I doing with this table? I have respective gifts. I draw, and I'm getting back into that. I can kick ass and graphic design. I'm doing that as well. Many of us have multi-talented. Some have one gift. But when it comes to that gift, we can outshine any motherfucker out there, basically. See, as men, we talk about opposing the environment. In mastering our gift, that will help feed us, not just financially and physically, but spiritually. We are the head of the table, and we should act accordingly. If certain people can't respect our table, they have shitty etiquette. If they're out there bringing motherfuckers you didn't invite to the table, it is on you to kick them the fuck out your house, much less your table. It is not your duty to serve them. not consumable food. Sometimes a foot in the ass. Other times it's best to serve them a level of distance. But you should be the head of household. We're talking about home. Home is where your heart is, also where your mind is too. So it comes down to the purpose of your table, recognizing what you were meant to do, what you're all about. Be unapologetic about it. Make no excuses for who you are and what you're becoming. Favor isn't fair for a fucking reason. You got people who can do similar things, but not quite like you. They don't have your mind. They don't have your direction. They don't have your flavor. But see, this is the beauty of your said table. This is where you take your time, like tinker with things, understanding yourself, what you were meant to do, how you separate yourself from the pack, being comfortable in your own skin. Make it cool to be around you. Be at your table. If you look back at high school, you had kids separated in different groups. You had the emo kids, you had the comedians out there, you had the quiet kids, you had the nerds, you had everybody at the table. Sometimes guys can move to different tables and fluidly. If you're socially awkward, that's something you need to work on. That's the little seasoning you need to work on. Start cooking as a man of purpose. I grew up as a devout introvert initially, getting teased on the back of the bus, and I was a quiet dude. But for some reason, I was drawing to basically get my feelings out because, you know, that's how I express myself. And the timing was perfect. When I looked outside, I saw a flash of lightning in the distance, and I get a moment of inspiration. So I started fighting back. And the guys were sitting there teasing me. I made cartoon villains on him. Some guy, the dude, I can't put his name out there, but called him Mecha Neck. He probably knows if he sees this. He had like extra skin around his neck, looked like a uncircumcised dick. And he had like an orthopedic shoe, like one shoe taller than the other. So I turned into a cartoon villain, and everybody fell the fuck out laughing. Now, granted, it was a dick move to do, but then I got inspired to see value in myself and my gifts. And it got to the point where eventually I became a chat room goon in the 5150 crew. Roasting motherfuckers. It's just what it is. You'd be surprised of what you can create and become when you spend quality time at your table, sometimes by yourself, or some people who can help add flavor into your life. Those needed ingredients as we mature as men. So it's more than just superficial shit and what's she going to do? Is she going to pay rent? Look, when you have your table in order, you'll get it to the point where they request reservations to sit at your table. And it's either on you to honor them or like, look, you can't be here. There's a certain pedigree of crowd here. Not to be arrogant, but it's a reflection of you and how you carry your shit. So in closing, I want to say to all my brothers, being beneficial bachelors, being men of principles and purpose, men walking our respective walks. We got to do a lot of housekeeping for ourselves, which means working in ourselves, being good to ourselves before we start having housewarming parties around us and within us. But it starts within here. You need to clear this table. Get the clutter from your table within and in here. Then when it comes to your table around you, let that be a reflection of how you carry your home. That's how you establish overtly and covertly your standard operating procedure. So from every veteran in the military theater and civilian theater, this is a message I want to give to you guys. Don't treat yourself like an MRE. a moron ready to eat or be eaten. Be that gourmet guy. Invest those needed ingredients to bring the spice out of you as that man. So when you see people consume the greatness that you possess and you give to them, look at the look of their faces, the expressions they give when they're like, "Damn, that motherfucker's something else." And salute to my brother Walt Diddy out there for this inspiration. That greatness is inside you, but you had to get in that kitchen and start cooking, preparing that table for the right people, and understand everybody wasn't meant to eat at your table. But it is a good thing to be a sensible giver, to where you can get people who couldn't make it to your table but want to be there. You can give them a to-go plate. It's just a great gift to give. But you got to give people the glimpse of greatness through your example. Be it from private to general, be it the everyday man to so-called high-value man. Every man has value. But you have to start preparing your table to not just receive it, but to manifest it. So salute to you guys. And I'll say, fuck this Omarion virus. I'm going to keep kicking ass and taking names. And I aspire you guys to do so too. I may not have the voice right now, but again, I'm going to use my voice in the proper fashion to speak life into my brothers as best I can. Inspire the shit that I go through on a regular basis. At least if I leave this world at any time, I gave back to my peers the right way. Gave them something to be other than mediocre. I want my brothers to be magnificent, motivated, movers and shakers in the right way. So that when people see you move by your example, it sets that fire within them. I want to be like that guy. Because a lot of heroes don't wear capes. So never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin. So to you guys, Semper Fi.